Hey, this is Dave from metalepidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review. What's up, guys? Dave here from Metal Epidemic, back with another album review. For this review, the guys and myself have been checking out the new album from Phil Anselmo's Depression Core, I did that in air quotes, project in minor. The band's new album was released on September 4th via Season of Mist Records. Okay, guys, Phil Anselmo is back with a new album. But this was slightly different in that this is a project that Phil has been culminating since he was a child. Okay, so this goes back to when he got his first guitar at 9 years old, and
Why
he
are
said
you laughing at that? Like, kids at 9 years old get guitars, Dave. So
yeah, but they don't write Depression Core at 9 years old, Duncan. Come on.
he grew up in New Orleans. You write Depression Core in New Orleans.
All right, okay. I've never grew up in New Orleans, so that's fair enough. But he did say in a statement, this is something he's been working on his whole life, basically, since he got that guitar. And then at kind of different stages of his life, these ideas and songs would kind of start to take form, basically. Initially, they were recorded under the moniker of Body and Blood in the early 90s on a 4-track recorder. And it was something that him and his friends did whenever they were kind of all at home in New Orleans. And then Hurricane Katrina hit and everyone kind of went their different ways. And then in 2012, Phil met guitarist Steve Taylor. They started working on some vibey stuff, as Phil said, and also kind of reworking some of the old 4-track recordings that he'd done, and also kind of writing some new material. This kind of then led to the incarnation of N minor, and the album was recorded at Nosferatu's Lair Studio.
It's his studio, and it's a great studio in the history of man.
Yeah, so this is on Phil's property in North Shore, just outside New Orleans. So that's us up to speed on N minor. But as I said, it's very safe to say that this is a very different pace to Phil's previous bands and projects.
Yes, and weirdly no. It's weird that you said that he's been working on this for as long as he says he has. I would never begin to assert the age of Phil Anselmo, but I know he's been on the earth a while. And weirdly, some of the darker moments, of which there are many on this album, some of the darker moments here are not, I mean, they're maybe a couple of shades turned down aggressively, taking step backs aggressively from stuff he's done with other bands. So, you know what I mean? Like, specifically vocally, I mean, this is Phil Anselmo's lyrical prowess all over it. He has a way to turn a phrase. I used to love this about Pantera. There were certain tracks in Pantera that I used to like. Oh, they were like proper like drinking music until you read the lyrics, and then you realise you've been headbanging to someone, breaking into a property, raping and murdering a family. You were like, maybe this rum didn't go down as nice as I thought it did. I've been excited. I've been like champing at the bit to talk about this, because we've had this in for about 3 months. This came in about a month after we launched the podcast. Yeah. And it was like, here's the album, it's not out till September. And we were like, what do we do with it? Can we listen to it now? And I've listened to it so many times it's silly. I think if you're a fan of Phil Anselmo, then you are going to love this album. I think if you're a fan of the bands that Phil Anselmo plays in, then I don't know if you will be able to use the word love in relation to this. I think you'll dig it, but I don't know if you'll love it. The reason I say that is like it is a sharp departure musically from from everything he's done before. There is no Phil kind of breaking out into mad screams or anything like that here at all. It's deliberately done to match the cadence of his voice now, which is like so fucking low that only fucking it measures on the Richter scale now. That's how fucking sonograph to pick it up. He's such a low tone in his vocals that it now is, and I don't want to know how this would have sounded if it was recorded in 1992. He was still going, "Oh, come on," you know what I mean? It wouldn't have worked. His voice has now weirdly found the cadence it needs to be at to play on these songs. The album is.
Some might say he's hitting a new level.
Boo, this man. Boo.
See what I did there?
I hate you for that. So no, I think
Right.
Hey Dave, you're making me fucking hostile right now, so just step off. I think let me put it this way, what I love about the album is, and we can talk about specific songs and get Kyle in here because I've been talking forever, but what I loved about this album, and genuinely love is the word I'm coming in with here, is that just when I thought I had a take on what quote-unquote depression core is, they mix it up. So there's elements of kind of almost like a kind of somber bluegrass and country. There's bits of like almost less depressing dirges kind of brought through this. There's really good musicality in here. I mean, some of the songwriting is fucking brilliant. Whilst not being virtuoso, considering the guys he's played with, you know, who are like these fucking incredible musicians from all over the world like that. It's weirdly played straight down the middle, and it's to its benefit that it's done that way. I think his lyrics are incredible. I think the production is great. And my only caveat before we get into a full review of the album is it is an album that benefits depending on what mood you're in. If you're feeling chirpy that day, do not shove on the N minor album. It'll bring you down, Dave. So I will shut the fuck up now so someone else can talk.
That's all right. As Phil said, this is not party music. This is kill the party music.
I love it.
And that's that.
To get everyone out the fuck out your house.
Yeah. Or to get people off the stage at the Oscars, you know, when they're talking too long. You put on Dead Can't Dance and they're like, oh, what the fuck. Whatever you want to label this, the bottom line is this is a fantastic album, in my opinion. I think for me, one of the reasons the album is so captivating is this is stripped back. This is like bare bones Phil Anselmo. This album is not about riffs or heaviness, although it's heavy in other ways. It's more an album that will kind of take you on like a slow burn journey, and it's filled with atmosphere and darkness and misery and emotion, really. But actually, what I would say about this album, one of the things that did impress me about this is the fact that like decades into Phil Anselmo's career, he's delivered like possibly one of his best vocal performances. Consistently front to back. So there's almost everything that he's, especially when he was doing the stuff with what was the previous band again? Was it not the Illegals?
The Illegals,
yeah, the Illegals. I mean, the music on that is great, but there are certain points where I'm like, Phil, you will have no voice left. Like really trying to kind of capture like some of that ruthless aggression that I think his voice just can't necessarily handle. But I hear it's for all the range that his voice has, specifically the melody. It's like there are times when the hairs in the back of my neck were standing on end, like just with the notes that he was singing and the measured way he delivers it. And weirdly, there's no ego on this, where I think there's ego in every release he's ever done, and it's benefited his performance and everything he's ever done. This feels like a guy who is not. He's laying himself bare. He's not genuinely doesn't feel that this will have any impact on his credibility by doing an album like this, which I think is the best way to approach a project like this.
Yeah. I mean, he's a vocal tone, like he still has that kind of gravelly kind of like rasp to it. And although it's quite bleak, it's almost soothing to listen to, which is weird, but it kind of for me it kind of conjured up like tones of like Nick Cave and Leonard Cohen and even Johnny Cash to an extent. And there is a bit of a kind of old time, almost kind of country vibe to this album at times, but it's like it's mixed in with this kind of doomy, trippy Gothic vibe that, along with that kind of really old-fashioned, kind of grainy production, it's really difficult not to be totally entranced by this album. And when I was listening, I was thinking, folks that quite enjoyed Nergal's Me and That Man project, they'll probably kind of dig this as well. You know what I mean? There is kind of similarities to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, give me this any day of the week over Metallica's country music. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear James Hetfield goes country. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear that. Give me Phil Anselmo goes depression core, and I'm a happy man.
Yeah. Kyle, what did you make of this depression core?
I mean, I don't think I have that much to add. You said it all. It's just, I was so surprised. I was like, okay, this is just going to be, I mean, I liked the name right away, N minor. And then as soon as I start listening to the track, I'm like, this is a huge surprise. And a happy surprise. Well, not a happy surprise. Happy in the fact that this is really freaking good.
Yeah.
Not happy in the fact of, Dead Can't Dance. My favourite song is track 6. Purely for the title, Warm, Sharp, Bath, Sleep. Like, yep. Sums it all up. I'm like, yeah, yeah, he said it all. It's just like, he's really, I think this is his best performance of his entire career.
Yeah.
And for someone who fronted Pantera and the Illegals and everything he's done, to come up with something like this, I think it's not going to impact his credibility in a bad way. It's going to bring him up even further because he can put out something like this. It's incredible music. I mean, it was played straight down the middle and there's no like crazy virtuosity or anything, but everything just has its place and sits really well with what's going on in the rest of the songs. And the music and the production is really great. It's not like squeaky, polished, clean. I mean, it's well produced, but it's not like not like a pop record where everything is super, 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 clean. And it because that's been a detriment to many a metal or many other genres as well, albums in the past, in recent past as well. So, but this was right, just the perfect amount of everything, and I really liked it. And I listened to it about 5 times today alone. And,
it does really offer.
Hang on, that's not really how I should feel, is it?
It does offer itself up to because we've had it, like I say, for months now. And it's one that I keep bugging Dave to that, eventually going to have to get around to doing a review on this. When's it out? Because I got to the point where I listened to it so much that I felt that by the time we came to do a review, I wouldn't be as excited about it as I was 2 months ago. Like listening to it relatively fresh, but as an album that I like instantly connected with, and if anything, I have grown to love it even more. I think I do that. I think this is one of these weird like this weekend, to put people in perspective to when we're recording this. Phil Anselmo is rejoining the original lineup of Down, and they're doing like Nola in its entirety because it's the anniversary. And Nola, I think, up until I heard this, I think Nola was maybe one of the most impeccable Phil Anselmo. The albums that it was on, I think Noah's an incredible album front to back, and it's always been a high benchmark for me. Once again, not to diminish Pantera. Pantera are like far and away one of my favourite bands, but weirdly, like that was the one that I always leaned back on, and that has now been replaced by N minor as my see if he said tomorrow, actually the Down thing's been cancelled now, so instead I'm just going to do an N minor set, I would probably be just as happy, if not more happy. Yeah, it's weird. And I don't know if he'll ever tour with it, and I don't know what his plans are with it, and he doesn't have to tour with it, he doesn't really have to do anything with it. The fact that he finally got around to doing something that's been as much a passion project to him, and it worked. He's done so much. I think he's done almost every genre in metal now. some project, or some of them have never found the light of day. There was that black metal thing he was going to do for the longest time, which I don't actually think we ever got anything from. But he's, and he's been such a prolific person with his record label, Housecore Records, and all the stuff he's done there. I think, he's got nothing left to prove at all as a musician, and one of the pillars of metal that we should all, respect. And then he drops an album like this, and it's difficult not to think that maybe the guy can't do anything wrong. out with some poor choices a couple of years ago, which we won't dignify with bringing back up. But maybe he can. I think there are some people out there that are just meant to be in the profession they're in, and I think Phil Anselmo was always meant to be an inspirational musician, and this is an album that just solidifies that, in my opinion. So,
yeah, it's a very kind of haunting and kind of melancholic album. Like that opening track, Mausoleums, is just unbelievable. Like, as an opening track, I could listen to that on repeat all fucking day long. On the Floor's another one as well. Just again, completely grabs your attention. But what I quite liked was that not every track is, totally like slow and brooding as well. You've got that, like tracks like This Is Not Your Day and Black Mass, which are a little bit more up tempo. And with the addition of the kind of electric guitar, the lead work, and a bit of a kind of heavier bass, it's given a bit more drive, and it's got a bit more of a kind of band feel about it. And I think that kind of change and feel and tempo, it kind of breaks the album up in a good way. Because it is a very gloomy album, but those tracks almost kind of lighten the mood just a little bit, which I thought was cool. I quite enjoyed that.
I think lighten is a strong word. It's the same amount of gloom, just a bit quicker.
Yeah.
It's gloom at double time. What the thing that's making me like kind of giggle away at myself here is both myself and Dave met up for the first time in 6+ months for a coffee, and he was regaling me about the different shows he's been watching and stuff, and the fact that you'd said that you and your wife had tried to sit down and watch a particular TV show and she tapped out after the first episode because it was too bleak. And knowing Dave the way I do, Dave like gravitates towards bleak cinema like a moth to the flame. And then the fact that you were like that, this is the sort of music you could just fall asleep listening to. That's like that. Yeah, I'm not saying Dave needs help, but if you know someone that could talk to Dave, the email, get in touch. No, it really is. It really like there's it balances. You couldn't just have a whole album of like the one tempo, you could, but it wouldn't have the same impact. And
there's a whole lot of doom metal that will prove you wrong on that.
Yes, well, yes, and I'll probably listen to it as well. That's the thing. But no, I think the combination of that, you mentioned also the use of like specifically on the quicker tracks when you start getting some lead guitar work and that. But just in general, the actual instrumentation, the use of different string instruments and different string sounds throughout the album is varied enough as well that every song kind of has their own flavour, which I think also makes the album stand out quite a bit. On the Floor, like, to me, that was that. I want to say that was the first single, or Blue was. I can't remember which one it was. And I remember we both listened to it and we were like that. Right, not what we were expecting. We'll wait and hear how it sounds in the context of a whole album. And I think I joked at him saying, just give me an album with that, and it's not far off that. And he heard my call and he did it for me. And this album is mine and it's not yours, so fuck you. It's like if you listen to one album this week, if you have a passing interest in what Phil Anselmo is doing, or I think even if you've kind of gravitated away from the many projects he's been involved with, this is the one to come back to. I think there's a lot to mine out here, regardless whether you're into the extreme fast, heavy fucking shit that he's done in the past, or the stuff that's maybe a bit more out there. He's covering a lot of bases here, and it's the tits, man. That's my grade out of 5. The tits out of 5, Dave. So
I don't think 2 is a good enough score.
2 tits out of 5, Dave. But yeah, I'll shut him now.
Yeah, tits aside, yeah, I love the album and all its kind of oddness, but you know, as diverse and kind of weird as it is at times, it's still a very cohesive record. And it's one that, as you said, you go back to it quite a lot. We've had this for a few months, and I didn't listen to it for like the first kind of month we had it, but once I started listening to it, I couldn't stop going back to it. I was like just sticking on, even in the background and stuff like that. It's a really, really kind of, as I said, it kind of soothed me, but that's just me personally. Other people may have a different reaction to it, but
yeah, it's replaced Dave's. Yeah. It's replaced Dave's children being locked in a cage sounds as he's relaxing, go to sleep music. So we're all quite glad about this one because we're proud of this recording. Maybe not the other one. So, you're a depressing bastard. So yeah.
So rating wise,
I mean, I'll kick us off. Can you guess, Dave?
I've got a feeling.
It's 5. It's a fucking 5. It's a flawless album. There is nothing on this album that I think could be improved at all, even remotely. And yeah, everyone needs this album in their life when you're having a bit of a day, if you know what I mean. Once again, do not like this is not. You don't do like a gender reveal at a baby shower whilst this is played on in the background, unless it's not the gender you wanted.
Boy or girl? No, sorry, it's stillborn.
Oh.
Dear. So yeah, it's a 5 for me. One that I'd like. It was a 5 the first time I listened to it as well, and like I say, my concern was the further we got along from when we received it, that it might drop down to a 4.5, but I'm happy to say it's still up there at a 5, motherfucker.
Nice. For me, it's a 4.5.
Wrong.
I thoroughly enjoy it. It's a really, really, really fucking good album. But as we were chatting about before we were recording, I have given out like a 3 or 4 kind of 5-star reviews this year.
Take one off something that you've already given it and put on.
Those other albums, you know, I had chills from those other albums. This album didn't give me that, but it was close, but not quite. But it's a 4.5 for me. Kyle, what about yourself?
You know, I was going to go with 5, and I'm thinking 4.5. And the only reason is it's an amazing album, and it's his best work, I think, ever. But is this it? Like, he says he's been working on this since he was 9. Like, is there more? Could he do this again?
Oh,
but I mean,
I see what you're saying. This is a one and done sort of thing. All right.
But I mean, that's not reason enough for me to take half a point off it, so 5 for me.
Yes, Kyle. Yes, Kyle. Your face, Dave. Your face, the 2 tits I gave this. Motorboating you right now. There you are.
That's fine. I will be in the minority.
The in minority?
Oh, I see what you did there.
That didn't work. Right. So I feel really good that we've finally reviewed this one. This one's been hanging around me like a Blockbuster rental that I forgot to hand back 3 years ago. I just want to get it like done, and I feel so much better now.
Yeah. Yes. Obviously, after listening to this review, we are highly recommending you check this album out. So when it does finally drop on September 4th on Season of Mist Records, check it out. The album is called When the Cold Truth Has Worn Its Miserable Welcome Out. It's pretty fitting album title, to be honest.
Weirdly enough, that's how Dave started his wedding vows.
There's not an album to listen to when you're happy or really sad. You've got to be in the middle.
There's a kind of melancholic, you know what I mean? If I have one more drink, I'm going to have a hangover. That's the perfect time to listen to this. You know, like this could go either way, guys. Shove on the N minor album, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, check it out. Let us know what you think. Stick some comments in below. As I said, the album's out on the 4th of September. I'll put some links in the description below to the band's Facebook and stuff so you can check them out. But once again, thank you very much for checking out our review. And we'll be back very soon with another album review. But until then, take care. We'll speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Sure.